We all know intermittent fasting is great and all, but I'm sure I'm not the only one that's ever wondered if there are any negatives associated with intermittent fasting. So in today's video, I want to talk about if there are any side effects associated with this type of dieting. The good news is that a lot of these side effects will go away over time, but it's definitely something that you should be aware of, especially if you're just starting out with fasting. This way you know what to expect. By the way, I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting, and I do it myself all the time. But there are pros and cons to every single diet approach, even fasting. Let's start with the most obvious of all the side effects, the hunger, the cravings, and what you can do about it. If you're transitioning to intermittent fasting, but you're used to eating 3 square meals a day every single day, or you're used to eating 5 or even 6 meals, then you're going to feel a little hungry transitioning to either skipping breakfast or skipping dinner. Your body is used to its normal routine feeding schedule. It releases hormones during the times of the day that you normally eat to signal hunger, and your body even increases stomach acids during those times. So it's going to take some time for your body to obviously adapt. There are a couple things you can do to reduce your hunger. One of the most talked about is to skip breakfast and drink coffee, right? And even though coffee does have an appetite suppressing effect, it's not my best tip for you to reduce hunger, but it can sure help. And if you do decide to have coffee, just make sure your coffee doesn't have any cream and no sugar. The best way you could prevent hunger is by not trying to do everything all at once. A lot of people try to cut carbs, restrict calories, fast, and go into ketosis at the same time. That'll make you lose fat faster, right? No, that's going to make you binge faster. If you're going to try intermittent fasting, don't cut your carbs at the same time. If you want to combine carb cutting with intermittent fasting later on, when you've already adjusted, then you can do that. You can even do a keto style intermittent fasting diet plan. But I just wouldn't start off with that. A lot of people make that mistake, and that just makes you crazy hungry, which just makes you binge, and then ultimately you fail your diet. The next potential side effect is a headache, right? So this is another thing that won't last, but when people first start fasting, it's very common for them to get headaches that come and go away because their body is still getting used to their new eating schedule. By staying hydrated, you can help prevent some of these headaches, but these should go away over time. One side effect that applies to a longer term fast is that you may have decreases in your strength and your overall performance. However, this doesn't really apply to intermittent fasting because you're typically only fasting for 16 hours. You may have a slight decrease in strength when first starting out, but as soon as you adapt, your strength should go right back up. Now, if you are fasting for days at a time, then that changes things quite a bit. You could have a reduction in your athletic performance in that case. Another big side effect is obsession, which is not what intermittent fasting was really designed for. People obsess over the little things. For example, some people will sit there and wait like those last 10 minutes because they're afraid of breaking their fast 10 minutes early. That's crazy. Intermittent fasting is a form of flexible dieting. Its originators definitely did not want you to obsess over your feeding and your fasting windows. They tried to move away from a restrictive dieting model. If you're at the restaurant with your family after fasting for 7 hours or even 6 hours and you have to break that fast that day, only that day, a little early, it's not the end of the world. First of all, you can balance out your macros anyway and you can go right back to fasting the next day. Don't obsess over the little things. Remember that intermittent fasting works because it helps keep your insulin levels low and helps you control the total amount of calories you eat for the day. There are other ways that you can still do that during a day where you're forced to break your fast. It's really not a big deal, guys. Let's talk about another side effect. Believe it or not, heartburn is a very, very real side effect that can happen during fasting. Remember how I said earlier that your body's on a regular eating schedule, and at those times that it's used to eating, it'll release more stomach acid. Well, food that you eat would have absorbed some of that stomach acid, whereas now, especially also after having some coffee, you might get some acid reflux. Again, this is another problem that does go away with some time because when your body adapts, it'll adjust when it releases that stomach acid. Speaking of stomach problems, a lot of people that start fasting will complain about getting the runs. And I feel like because of the timing that many people get that when they start fasting, they blame it on fasting. But People that fast typically will drink a lot of coffee to suppress their appetite and increase the energy. So coffee is also a known diuretic, and if your coffee intake is high, maybe lower it to stop running to the bathroom so much. Next, I want to talk about one of the biggest problems, and that's using fasting to save all your calories for the end of the day when you can just pig out and eat a whole pie of pizza and as much ice cream as you want. Now, even though this is possible to do without destroying your diet and even possibly burning fat still, this should be a once in a while type of strategy rather than a daily strategy. Doing this daily robs your body of vital nutrients. Remember that what we eat isn't just calories, macros, protein, carbs, and fat. There's also micronutrients that your body needs to function optimally and to stay healthy. You won't be getting any of those out of that stuffed crust pizza or bagels or the French fries or that ice cream. People that eat all day long are bound to eat some form of real food with real nutrition, even if the rest of their diet is bad. However, if you're fasting all day and then just pigging out on junk food at night every night, then you're going to eventually create a problem later on with food sensitivities or full-out intolerances. The last potential negative side effect that I want to talk about today is overeating. A lot of people believe that because you went 16 hours or maybe even 20 hours, the warrior diet, right, without food, that means you could just no holds bar eat whatever you want without overeating. This is actually exactly what ends up leading to overeating during fasting and leaves you overly full from eating an enormous meal. So it's something that you want to be aware of. The bottom line is that intermittent fasting isn't a free pass to eat whatever you want. You still need good nutrition habits to be healthy and function at your best. Like I said in the beginning of this video, the good news is that most of the negative side effects that I already mentioned will either go away with time or are easily preventable. That's it, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you subscribe to this channel and definitely visit my website, gravitytransformation.com, where you can get done for you programs that are proven to work. I'll see you guys soon. Pump it.